On Father's Day, I received a mysterious box from my daughter. My wife turned pale and whispered, "Don't open it, can't you see?" What followed was a shocking discovery that unraveled a hidden truth, a story of betrayal, grief, and silently revenge, but also one of clarity and healing. This isn't just a story, it's a life lesson wrapped in quiet reflection and David-like wisdom. If you've ever questioned your priorities, your family, or the silence between loved ones, this story is for you. Subscribe now for more powerful, introspective stories that inspire growth, healing, and peace. Hit the bell so you never miss a soul-shifting lesson. I've always believed that gifts hold more than objects. They carry intentions, emotions, and sometimes unspoken truths. A box is never just a box when it comes from someone you love. And on this particular Father's Day, my daughter, Lena, sent me one that would change everything. She was away at college her first year. We spoke less often now. She was growing, becoming her own person, and I had accepted, with some quiet pain, that my role was shifting from protector to observer. So when the package arrived, wrapped in simple brown paper with her handwriting across the top, I smiled. It felt like a touch from a fading connection, a reminder that I still mattered. But as I held the box, turning it in my hands, my wife, Mira, stepped into the room and froze. Her face went pale, eyes widening. "Don't open it," she said quickly, her voice trembling. "Can't you see?" At first, I thought she was joking. See what? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for the box, but I pulled it back instinctively. There was something in her eyes, fear, not the kind that comes from danger, the kind that comes from secrets. I had spent years in quiet study, reading, writing, meditating. I now live as a teacher of peace, a monk of sorts, in the city's edge. People come to me for calm, for wisdom, for simplicity. But even monks have stories, wounds, and in that moment, I felt an old wound stir again. Let me take you back, before the box, before the silence between Mira and me began to widen like a chasm. When Lena was 12, she asked me once, "What makes a good father?" I told her, presence, not gifts, not protection, just presence. Being there when it matters. But what I didn't say, what I didn't have the heart to admit, is that I wasn't always present. For years, I was chasing something. Status, security, answers. I thought wisdom was found in books, in solitude. I didn't see that sometimes the greatest wisdom is to stop chasing and start noticing. I didn't notice Mira growing distant. I didn't notice how often she would whisper into her phone. I didn't notice the way she smiled less when I walked into a room. And then came the night I did notice too late. 3 years ago, I returned home from a silent retreat early. I had forgotten my charger, of all things. When I opened the door, I heard her voice, soft, intimate, unfamiliar. Not with me. On the phone, the words weren't scandalous, but the tone was unmistakable. That night, I asked her gently, "Are you okay?" She smiled, lied, said she was tired, and I, like a fool, or maybe a coward, let it go. That's the thing about suspicion, it grows quietly in the dark. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And it whispered to me every time she came home late, every time she smiled at her screen, every time her eyes darted away when mine searched hers. I never confronted her. Instead, I began my own quiet practice, observing, logging moments like a monk records the passing of seasons. I became still, not from peace, but from fear. Lena left for college, and the house became quieter. Mira and I moved like shadows around each other. I told myself it was normal, all marriages fade. But what I didn't admit, even to myself, was that mine had rotted from within. Then came the box, and Mira's panic. I held it in my lap as she stood across from me, shaking her head. "Please," she said, "don't open it." "Why?" I asked again. She looked down. "Because I know what's in it, and once you see it, you won't see me the same." Those words hit like thunder in the valley. I opened it anyway. Inside, carefully wrapped in soft cloth, were the things. The first, a small photo album. The cover was handmade. The first page, written in Lena's handwriting, "For the father I love and the one who deserved the truth." Each photo was marked by dates, captions, smiles, but none were taken by me. And then, halfway through, a photograph stopped my breath. It was a picture of Lena, younger, maybe 8 years old, at a lake, standing next to a man I'd never seen before, but she called him Dad. The captions told the rest. Lena had discovered, through Mira's old journal she found by accident, that there had been someone else, a man Mira loved before me, a man she reconnected with years into our marriage. The second item in the box, a letter from Mira to Lena. It read, "He was your real father. He left before you were born, and I thought I'd never see him again. But I did. Years later, I made a mistake. I told myself it wouldn't affect anyone. But you deserve the truth. You deserve to know him. I hope one day your father Arav can forgive me. I never meant to hurt him, but the heart is never as disciplined as the mind." I stared at that letter for a long time. So many thoughts flooded me, but one stood out louder than the rest. I had loved a child as my own, and I still did. The betrayal cut deep. Mira had built a world of silence and shadows. I had suspected infidelity, but never this. Never that the child I raised, the child I adored, wasn't mine by blood. But that didn't matter. She was still mine by every moment, every bedtime story, every tear wiped, and every smile shared. But Mira, she had burned the bridge between us with lies, not the act, but the silence. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the letter. I simply walked to the garden, sat beneath the banyan tree, and wept like I hadn't in years. Grief is strange. It doesn't always come from death. Sometimes it comes from the realization that someone you trusted wore a mask for far too long. What followed was not dramatic. No courtrooms, no screaming fights, just distance, quiet departure. Lena called me that evening. She asked if I was okay. I told her the truth. I am sad, but I am still your father, and I always will be. She cried. We spoke for hours. I never told her what her mother said. I didn't want her to carry that weight. Some truths are meant to be shared, others left where they belong. Today, I share this not as a victim, not as a teacher, but as a man who learned the hardest way that presence is more powerful than blood. That trust, once broken, may never return, but peace. Peace is always within reach if you walk toward it. To those watching this, maybe you've been lied to. Maybe you've held secrets. Maybe you carry guilt or suspicion or pain that refuses to leave. Let me tell you this. You don't need to open every box in your life to find peace. But if you do, be ready to choose stillness over destruction, because sometimes the deepest revenge is simply living without bitterness. And sometimes the greatest gift isn't truth. It's love that endures even when truth tries to tear it apart. If this story moved you, if you found wisdom in the stillness of heartbreak and healing, subscribe to this channel for more introspective stories and life lessons. Turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to pause, reflect, and grow. And remember, when life hands you a box, what you do next reveals more about your soul than what's